Allah Rabbul Alamin said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يوم يأتي لا تكلم نفس إلا بإذنه فمنهم شقي وسعيد. When the day arrives, the day of judgment, no one will dare speak in front of Allah besides His permission. Some of them will be miserable, shaqiyu wa sa'id, and some of them will be happy. So sa'id here came as happy. In another verse, Allah Rabbul Alamin said, وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ سُعِدُوا فَقِيَ الْجَنَّةِ خَالِدِينَ. And as for those destined to joy or happy, this is sa'idu, it came, they will be in paradise. So the word happiness, that is our goal in this life, is the word basically sa'ad. Now sa'ad, this word came in Quran only in two places. And this sa'id or su'idu in two places, this indicates the permanent happiness. Therefore, the Quran is saying that the permanent happiness is only for hereafter. The permanent happiness is only for here. Now the question remains that then what about in this life? What about the happiness or enjoyment, or the people believe from time immemorial, right? Every time, what is that? Now Allah Rabbul Alamin said in Surah Al-A'la, this is interesting, that بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Now, other places of Quran, the happiness came not directly in that word, but in other ways. We'll see some of the examples. Like in this particular Surah Al-A'la, Allah Rabbul Alamin saying that you prefer the life of this world, hayat ad-dunya, you prefer the life of this world. Of course, Allah Rabbul Alamin said life of this world indicating pleasure, because no one likes the sadness, right? However, Allah Rabbul Alamin said that wal akhiratu khairu wa abqa, but the hereafter is far better and everlasting. Two things. It is better, far better, and everlasting. Right? That is the indication for the hereafter. Therefore, we can conclude that this life we can be happy, but compared to hereafter, it is nothing. It is negligible. Even the most beautiful soul, when they feel the happiness, we'll see some references, even compared to hereafter, it is negligible. So these are the hypothesis we can derive. Now, what are the happiness, source of happiness for this life, for this world? What Quran said. Now, in popular term, there are 8 indication of happiness, 8 source of happiness according to Quran in different verses. Allah Rabbul Alamin said that these are called zina al-dunya. Orthat, zina, it means that the beautification, source of happiness, right, of this life. Like, for example, the wealth, right? Wealth, children, spouse or wives, gold and silver, right? Horses. Now, horses, of course, nowadays it's the Mercedes, it's the the latest model cars or transports, or the Ferrari or whatever. Livestock or cattle, farmland, big farmland that we become happy, and all beautification on earth, whatever beautification we can imagine, right? Now the question is, did Allah talk about, heavily on those things, and what we should be doing? Because Quran should give the complete guidance, right, about those beautification. Interestingly, Allah Rabbul Alamin said an interesting thing about this beautification, that قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. Say, O Prophet, to the believers basically, that in Allah's grace, fadlillah means, fadl means the blessings, the mercy, the grace, the gift, like the wealth that Allah gives us, right? That is the fadl of Allah. That, O Prophet, in Allah's grace and mercy, rahmah, let them rejoice. This verse is really interesting, that tell the believers that with the fadl of Allah, with the mercy and the mercy of Allah, let them rejoice, let them be happy in this life. Then Allah Rabbul Alamin said that huwa khairum mimma yajma'un, that is far better than what they jama. Jama is used here, means what they gather, the wealth they gather, the farmland, the cars, any property that they gather. Compared to everything in this life, two things are far better, right? And if someone achieves those two things, let them rejoice, right? This is really interesting verse. So whoever achieves Allah's grace and mercy, let them rejoice. Now, how can we be happy in this life? So whatever we learned so far is that this life, the happiness that we get is really negligible compared to the permanent happiness of hereafter. Now the question is, how can we be happy in this particular life? The first way, according to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is this. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that be content, be satisfied, right, with what Allah has appointed for you, and you will be the richest of the people. That is the first principle. That be content, so the contentment, be happy with whatever I got. Then you will be the wealthiest person, right? Even we see that the billionaire do the suicide because they are not content. They are not satisfied with whatever wealth they got. So Prophet Muhammad gave us the city of wisdom, the most wise people, right, of us amongst this nation. Prophet Muhammad said that be content with what Allah has given, you will be the wealthiest people, richest people, right? So that is the first principle. And another hadith, Prophet Muhammad said, whoever among you wakes up physically healthy in the morning, physically healthy, feeling safe and secure, which means they have a roof, they have a house basically, with food for the day, just for one day, right? As if he acquired the whole of the world. Look at the indication of contentment. I mean, we can really imagine that. That was the level of contentment of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If someone wakes up in the morning healthy, he has a food for one day, he has a roof, he is the wealthiest person, right? So that is the first way in Islam, and that is the beauty of Islam, that we have the clear guidance. How can we be happy, basically? And the second way, Allah Rabbul Alamin said regarding the second way, Allazina amanu wa tatma'innu qulubuhum bi zikrillah, ala bi zikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. There is some repetition of the words. This is a kind of unique sentence, unique way of style, that those who believe and whose hearts find comfort in remembrance of Allah, surely in the remembrance of Allah, there's a repetition, surely in the remembrance of zikr of Allah, heart find comfort. Again, the people, Allah Rabbul Alamin is saying, those who believe and whose hearts find comfort, find happiness, right, in the zikr of Allah, in the remembrance of Allah, surely in the remembrance of Allah, hearts find comfort. Complete fact. He is the creator. He created us. He created our hearts. He created this world for us, and he knows where his creation will get the comfort. The only comfort will come in the zikr of Allah, in the remembrance of Allah. The remembrance of Allah can be due to the prayer, can be doing zikr, can be remembering Him, can be even discussing during the khutbah, in the Islamic lecture. Any sort of platform where we can remember Allah is zikr of Allah. Right? Of course, there are some specific hadiths that before, the morning and evening, we have to do special zikr, but we can do zikr any moment, any time. It doesn't require to have the wudu, the ablution. Any time, in sleeping, in sitting, in walking, while doing the work, we can remember Allah. And that is the only way the heart will find peace. I'll finish it with this particular thing. Of course, there's a long discussion from scientific point of view, from atheist point of view, that how it is linked to the scientific fact that the zikr can give that's a long different discussion, but we'll try to examine that particular perspective from the statement of the pious generations, right? How did they achieve that? One of the Sahabis, Utbah al-Ghulam, he said that I suffered with prayer. He suffered with prayer for 20 years, and then I enjoyed the prayer for the next 20 years. So he suffered in prayers to achieve the happiness during the prayer for first 20 years. Then he achieved the most happiness in prayer, which means that it is a gradual process. We cannot achieve the full happiness in day one. It's a gradual process. We should make dua. We should have to cry, Allah give me, the peace during my prayer, and so on. Ibn al-Qayyum said that the pleasure and enjoyment of servitude to Allah can only be achieved through reluctance and struggle. So with continuous effort, it can be achieved. And the last statement from his teacher of Ibn al-Qayyum, who is Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, from 13th century scholar, he said when he was in prison, right? He said that, what can my enemies do to me? My paradise is in my heart. It goes with me wherever I go, right? It goes with me wherever I go. Then the statement is really unique. If the kings and the son of the kings knew that happiness that I experience by the zikr of Allah, he was saying, they would fight me for it with their swords. Right? If they would knew the happiness that I have in the prison by the zikr of Allah, the kings would fight me with their swords. So he definitely achieved that through long struggle of zikr of Allah, remembering Allah, and having a lot of students and so on. May Allah Rabbul Alameen give us the understanding so we can achieve the happiness. What is the summary of the khutbah is that we can achieve the happiness in this life through two ways. The first one is the zikr, remembering Allah, and second is the contentment. By having content with whatever we have. May have different demands. I have a demands level, it is not same to others. But I have to know myself and I have to minimize that demand, be content. So everyone is different. I cannot impose my demand and contentment level onto others, but we should be sympathetic on others before judging others, right? Before judging, this is really deep sentence here. Before judging others, we should have to know that everyone is different, but we have to be accountable for us, right? We have to be happy for ourselves. So I need to know myself, my contentment level, I need to minimize that. Inshallah, Allah will make us happy. And second, by remembering Allah, right? Inshallah, Allah will make us happy. And the last point, compared to the hereafter, whatever happiness we achieve, even Ibn Taymiyyah achieved, is negligible. That is the permanent level of happiness we are looking forward. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر إنه على كل شيء قدير.